What if Megumi and Yuji switch places in the CUlling games? In this video, I'll be doing what if Megumi faced Higuruma and Yuji versus Reggie. So first, let's start off with Megumi versus Higuruma. So there's a couple things to take into account. I'll give you a refresher on both Higuruma and Megumi's stats. So Megumi has great curse energy. This was shown with him being able to amount to summon a lot of Shikigamis, as well as use a domain expansion after the use of multiple Shikigamis. He also has great intellect and has good taijutsu as well. His curse technique is that of the 10 Shadows technique, which allows him to summon different Shikigami. He currently has Divine Dog Totality, Nue, Great Serpent, Toad, Well-Known Abyss, Max Elephant, and General Muhuraga. However, Muhuraga will not be counted for this fight. He also has his barrier technique, which is Chimeral Shadow Garden. However, it is an incomplete domain currently at this time. However, in an enclosed barrier, he's able to use it to his full potential, as well as he gets a 120% buff to his stats when using Chimeral Shadow Garden. So now let's talk about Higuruma. So Higuruma arguably is the most intelligent person we've seen in the series and has also learned so many different abilities extremely quickly. He's learned the domain expansion in, I believe, 12 days, and he also has great curse energy. So his ability in domain expansion is Deadly Sentencing, first a small courtroom, domain surrounded by guillotines. Domain does not use a guaranteed hit, instead anyone inside is simply forced to follow its rules. He has his Shikigami in the Judgeman, which possesses a curse technique that allows him to conjure a large Shikigami with a black body. Judgeman is supposed to represent blind justice. It gives the verdict to the respective convicts. When the convict is deemed guilty, Higuruma receives a gavel in which becomes a very versatile weapon. It changes the proportions to emulate different weapons, and opposingly with people when they have their curse technique removed, it will take 1 to 2 hits for them to die. Death penalty sentence is given. He will then receive the Executioner's Sword, which supposedly only requires 1 attack to kill the other opponent. So how would this fight go? And I think there is 2 win cons, and it's especially important for us to know. The way I've understood Higuruma's domain with him having a short hit is that his domain will occur regardless of even if another domain is used. Because this is headcanon and we currently don't know, there'll be 2 avenues for which I think this fight will go. So let's go with my personal avenue, and what I've understood from Higuruma's domain is that upon the first entrance with obviously seeing Megumi, he will use his domain expansion straight away. With him using his domain expansion straight away, I believe Megumi would not be able to use his, but we know that within his domain there is no act of violence, so potentially he could activate his domain. However, this route, I'm saying he could not be able to outsmart Higuruma when it comes to trial. My guess is no, Higuruma is a lawyer, and even with how intelligent Megumi is, I don't think he's going to outsmart such a genius like Higuruma. Therefore, with Megumi ending up potentially losing out to the trial, he would most likely get to a situation which he loses his curse technique, and what we can infer from Higuruma and his dialogue is a person who loses their curse technique, it makes it harder for them to manipulate their curse energy. It was only fine with Yuji with the fact that he already has 1 key curse energy, and he was able to majority use his strength to be able to keep up. For the benefit of the doubt though, I do think Megumi is intelligent and will be able to ask for a retrial. This comes to the part, do you think Megumi can outsmart the Judgeman? Because of the way the evidence is, we really don't know what could be asked. Megumi already has a kind of grey moral code, so there's a lot of things that could potentially be asked, and it would be harder for potentially Megumi to get out of the situation. However, maybe seeing the technique once, he'll have a far better time the second time, and I think he'll be able to prolong his defeat from the first gavel, and would have gained the fact that he would be able to use another retrial. If you think Megumi can beat the retrial, then I agree he wins, because once he gets his curse technique, I believe he has more than enough to deal with Higuruma and he'll be fine. However, if he doesn't get to his retrial, which I'm leaning to, I believe he loses, and I just think it gets to a point where either the Executioner or Sword will kill him, or he will get to a point where he tries to keep spamming retrials and ends up getting to a worse situation. I don't know if there is a limit to it, but I feel as if at this moment in time, there isn't too much of a weakness to Higuruma's domain. And I think if you agree that his domain will happen regardless, because of the text that we got with the binding vow that they were talking about, then in my opinion, Higuruma beats Megumi every single time. This is going to be the second scenario. If you believe that Megumi's domain can actually activate, then he has a chance because there will be a tug of war. and if there is a tug of war, then now Megumi has a chance to prevent Higuruma. However, there is two ways this can go, and there is one way where I still think Megumi loses in this situation, and another way where Megumi can potentially win. So the way which I think Megumi still loses in this tug of war is the conflict with Dagon. We know that Dagon was basically saying if it wasn't for Toji and all these people there, he believes he can easily overpower Megumi, who Megumi was fighting on for dear life just to be able to continue the tug of war. Of course, his domain has become a little bit more refined since that battle. However, I still don't believe it's of that level for him to overpower a refined domain such as Higuruma, meaning that Higuruma will only have to negate the effect and then eventually get to his situation where deadly sentencing will occur. The avenue that potentially Megumi can win using the tug of war to then try overpower Higuruma. We're currently unaware to see how much they can actually move in the domain. However, if Megumi is able to move, and with the fact that it would now be with each combatant relying on just their curse energy, I believe this is when Megumi has an advantage because he will not have his gavel to prevent him. Moreover, with the fact that the domains is in the tug of war, it takes away the biggest asset that Higuruma has, and I think if it comes to just regular martial arts, Megumi will be able to overpower Higuruma, and that is the one win con that I believe Megumi can have. Issue is, there is still not enough information to do with Higuruma and his domain, but that in my opinion, the majority of the times Higuruma will win. However, there is an avenue in which I believe Megumi can win. Now, Yuji versus Reggie. Yuji is a superhuman and is a basically bootleg Maki and Toji. He has insane durability, being able to tank multiple hits from a 200% Final Form Mahito. He also got hit with so many different blood-piercing techniques from Choso, and he has superhuman reflexes, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, and he is far beyond in terms of physical stats, as well as having cursed energy inhabiting the cursed object Sukuna. He has access to Divergent Fist, which he can use on impact, and this is where his cursed energy blows will basically hit on the second impact due to the flaw in his respective cursed energy. He also has one of the high level techniques in Black Flash, which is a 2.5 to the power multiplier after each hit. He also has elite level taijutsu and is one of the strongest in terms of martial arts combat that we've seen in the series. Now let's go to Reggie. Reggie has elite level IQ and was using his IQ to use his ability to the best of his ability. He was able to possess an extensive volume of curse energy and elite control of it. He could repeatedly use his curse technique, as well as he was able to reinforce his body, granting him a such high degree of strength and toughness that he could withstand max elephant's weight. Now his curse technique, and that is contractual recreation. By burning a contact such as a receipt with curse energy, he can recreate whatever was written on it into existence. Currently, what we saw him use was different trucks, knives, even houses, and it just shows a level of versatility that he has with his ability. He also has access to a barrier technique in Hollow Wicker Basket, Simple Domain to nullify a domain's barrier, guaranteed hit effect. How would this fight go? So Reggie, in my opinion, is the smarter fighter. And even though his ability can be quite a handful for Yuji, I just don't see too many win cons for Reggie in this regard. Now let me talk about this. First, let's talk about durability. Like I said, Yuji is a durable monster, and at this moment of time, I don't think Reggie has any finishing moves to kill Yuji. The best things are the knives, but however, based on his reflexes and even being able to tank multiple blood bullets, I'm assuming even if a couple hit him, he'll be able to still withstand and get in close combat with Reggie. Moreover, Reggie's win con relies him solely on keeping it a mid to long range fight, because in hand-to-hand combat, he gets completely bodied, with him being somewhat relative with a 120% buff Megumi. So then it comes and I ask you, do you believe the house that he has currently used will be enough to kill Yuji? I'm inclined to say no, and even if it was, I believe Yuji has enough speed to dodge it. The thing is, with the house being the biggest win con in terms of actually damaging Yuji, he has seemed to be throwing cards with ease. His strength has been very, very scary that, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see if Yuji was able to pick up the house and throw it away. Or even if he was hit by it, he would somehow be able to survive. His durability is similar to that of the Maki and Toji's, however just a little less in that regard. Moreover, his speed and hand-to-hand combat is so overwhelming that it takes, in my opinion, a matter of time for Yuji to close the gap and to overpower Reggie. Reggie has great enforcement and him being able to survive such as the Max Elephant, meaning he could potentially survive the first Black Flash from Yuji. However, once he uses Black Flash, he hits his prime and then he gets into what could be seen as a heightened state, meaning he can be able to impact more damage. Moreover, Yuji's usage of Divergence Fist will throw Reggie off guard, for the majority of Jujutsu sorcerers are going to expect it on first impact. Give him a 1-up to be able to throw Reggie off guard, who would then have to psychologically remember that each time he uses Divergent Fist is going to impact on the second blow. So this gives him a new way to damage him, and even though, like I said, his reinforcement is good, that they won't die from this potentially first one, 2 Black Flashes or so and I believe the matchup is pretty much wrapped up. Moreover, like I said, Reggie has to focus on mid to long range. Even his knives, which was probably difficult and will be able to prevent Yuji from getting closer, I don't think he has enough to actually kill Yuji. It's to a point where Yuji just slowly overpowers him and gets into close combat and bodies him with a couple Black Flashes. I'm not trying to underrate Reggie because I think Reggie's hand-to-hand combat is good. However, he was a direct counter to Megumi with the fact that his domain could be countered with his receipts. Even though versatility matchup Reggie is good against Yuji, I just don't think his base stats is enough to secure him the win. Moreover, his lacking of a domain expansion at this moment in time, meaning Yuji can bypass him with him having such far physical stats. This is how I think it will go. I think at the end of the day, Megumi would lose to Higuruma unless you believe that scenario I gave is the way in which Megumi can win. And in my opinion, Yuji would beat Reggie. I believe Reggie is a tough combatant, however, he was a direct counter to Megumi. And even with a direct counter to Megumi, Megumi still managed to come out on top. So in my opinion, Yuji will be able to body him. And thank you guys for watching, and make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe.